The courtroom felt like the inside of a refrigerator, everybody stiff, cold, waiting for something to crack. The judge, an older guy with that tired look you only get after a lifetime of hearing nonsense, adjusted his glasses and read the plaintiff's complaint, then looked up, eyebrows nearly to his hairline. "So let me get this straight," he said, almost laughing. "You're suing this man because he wouldn't let your HOA host canoe yoga on his private lake?" Janine Mulrin, president of the Silver Birch Wide Community Association, shot up from her chair like she'd been shocked, straightening her blouse and putting on her best righteous face. "It's not just a lake, Your Honor," she said, voice all syrup and edge. "It's a shared natural ammonitious spiritual resource for our collective ecosystem." The judge just stared. I'm Clint Harlow, 58 years old. Never much for drama. Sitting there in my favorite jeans and flannel. Thermos of coffee in one hand. The other fidgeting with a fishing lure I'd carried in my pocket since I was a kid. "Mr. Harlow," the judge said, real slow, "do you actually own the lake?" I just nodded. Took a sip of coffee. Bought it in '98. All cash. The deed's in my name. Says Lake Clint. Clear as day. I swear the judge smiled maybe for the first time all week. And just like that, the HOA's case started sinking faster than a leaky canoe. Now, I live just outside the Silver Birch Wide subdivision, a place that always reminded me of a movie CETA bunch of vinyl-sided houses, mailboxes shaped like lighthouses, and so much forced politeness it'll suffocate you if you're not careful. My place is different, a small cabin, a dock I built myself, and a sign at the water's edge, private lake. Trespassers will be swim tested. Life was simple. I fished at sunrise. Loons called across the water. And the wildest problem I had was the odd raccoon tipping over my cooler. Everything changed when Janine arrived fresh off a divorce. Self-appointed life coach and newly crowned queen of the HOA. She swept in like a late spring storm. And within 6 months, she turned the HOA from a neighborhood club into a suburban empire. She saw my lake as her new project, ignoring the fact that I wasn't part of the HOA, never had been, never would be. According to her, my lack of membership was a simple clerical error she'd fix in due time. I had a few thoughts about that, none fit for court. First came the email show she got my address. I'll never know then glossy flyers jammed in my mailbox. Sunrise paddle board ceremonies at Lake Clint, complete with QR codes and hashtags. When I sent her a cease and desist, she replied 3 days later with a fruit basket and a note that read, in lavender-scented ink, "Let's not let ownership stand in the way of togetherness." The very next weekend, they showed up in Pax SUVs parked all over my grass. Yoga mats rolled out along my shoreline, their meditation music clashing with the birds. By the time I walked out with my coffee to ask what in the world they thought they were doing, Janine shushed me, told me I was disrupting their chi flow. I thought I might be dreaming, but there they were, 12 adults in spandex, doing synchronized Tai Chi on the dock I'd built with my own hands, while Janine live-streamed it under the caption, "Manifesting Lake Harmony." Then came the blessing ceremony. Janine threw rose petals across the lake, while chanting something she probably learned on YouTube. The petals jammed up my boat. Motor cost me $400 to fix. When I sent her the bill, she responded with a coupon for a free live coaching session and a note suggesting I release my attachment to material things. That was about when I put up a gate at the end of my driveway, with a combo lock and a new sign, this one showing a cartoon trespasser being chased by an angry goose. Janine's answer? She sent the Silver Birch Lake marshals, middle-aged dads in matching polos with fake badges they probably ordered online, clipboards in hand, sunglasses indoors, looking like a budget Secret Service. I handed each one a laminated copy of my deed and offered them some inflatable floaties from my porch box, just in case they still didn't understand private property. They left, looking a little deflated. That's when Janine escalated. She filed a civil suit, claiming my lake was inherently communal by proximity and that I'd benefited spiritually from living near the HOA. She wanted reciprocal access for the entire neighborhood. My attorney, Deborah, holds the lake kraken. They call her showed up at our first meeting with a stack of documents 2 feet high, color-coded maps, old water rights from the 1800s, and drone shots of Janine's yoga classes trespassing on my shore. In her deposition, Janine used the phrase emotional investment 17 times. Deborah countered by showing high-def footage of HOA members littering, playing ukuleles off-key, and my favorite one guy, Gerald, dumping pet store goldfish in the lake to improve the vibes. That move alone broke 3 local laws, and the environmental authorities jumped in, threatening fines that'd make your wallet cry. The judge, Harold Fletcher, nonsense, 23 years on the bench, actually laughed out loud when Deborah showed a photo of Janine's homemade sign. Lake Clint equals our collective chakra, painted with butterflies. He had to call a recess just to stop laughing. In the end, the court ruled in my favor. Lake Clint was confirmed as private property. No easements. No HOA rights. Period. Janine was hit with multiple counts of trespassing. I got awarded $28,000 in damages, property destruction, legal fees, and what the judge called persistent harassment disguised as community building. There's more. He issued a permanent injunctiono HOA activity within 200 feet of my shoreline. I used the money to build a 6-foot fence with iron spikes, added a duck sanctuary with nesting boxes, and set up motion-activated sprinklers that blasted dueling banjos if anyone got closed banjo music echoing across the lake every time Janine's group even thought about trespassing. The HOA had to print a newsletter correction titled, "Clarifying Our Relationship with the Lake. It's Not Ours," mailed to every house at their expense. 3 weeks later, Janine was voted out as president in a 7-2 emergency meeting. She tried to run again, this time as the head of her so-called Lake Freedom Party. But the board banned her from ever holding office again, citing actions detrimental to the association's legal and financial standing. The final nail? The county fined the HOA $35,000 for the goldfish stunt and disrupting protected bird habitats. When the bailiff read the amount, Janine turned every color of the rainbow, mumbling, "But it was just goldfish," before her own lawyer gently pushed her back into her seat. Now, the lake is quieter than ever. My sanctuary restored, and every morning when I sip my coffee, listening to the banjo, sprinklers, and the ducks, I'm reminded sometimes, all it takes is standing your ground.